This is the capability to invest, the capital. Where will UEDCL get the capital to invest? Given the state-owned agency, given all the things that the colleague has raised, I want to confirm that UEDCL has been facilitated to invest. The same way Umeme has been facilitated to invest. Of course, Umeme was listed on the stock exchange, and therefore many shareholders could either authorize to borrow or pool resources and be able to provide the equity to invest into the distribution network and also undertake the operation and maintenance activities. UEDCL has shareholders who are not broke. The shareholders of UEDCL are not broke. And the same Umeme recovery has already started to pay, and UEDCL is recovering, and UEDCL is investing. So I really want also to allay that fear. The area that we thought that it would be challenging are the lot of interest from the banks because they have trust in the net, trust in the regulator. You have the best regulator on the continent. The challenge best leaders on the globe. We have the best PSC in the country. We have the highest performing minister. And this is not only a UEDCL issue. It is a sector issue. It is a Ugandan issue. Nobody is going to allow UEDCL to fail to deliver. And we have set performance targets for UEDCL. Yesterday I was interacting with the MD UEDCL and I was asking him, what are the revenue collection levels per day? We don't want to wait for a month. So all this was planned and prepared for adequately. So I wanted to start from that point, that we have the capacity at UEDCL to be able to take on and even thrive, not going off when it is raining. And I hope that now, as they stabilize in the seat, next message, but there is that there is all capacity, especially building on the land experience between ourselves and Umeme. By the time this concession ended, I think we were almost having a first-class distribution company, and this was attested for by various assessors who used to come and benchmark. They used to win awards. And this competence has not left the country. What has changed? And that is why we focused on the governance and the senior management. What has changed is the leadership. Otherwise, your children are running so that we are able to sustain delivery of a reliable, quality, and safe supply to fuel our economy, but also improve the livelihood of the ordinary citizen of Uganda. I can punctuate there.
Thank you. I still have another question for you.
Yes.
Seeing that this is a kind of unofficial launch of the UEDCL, would you call it a concession again? Or is it a mere license to operate that expires? Is one question. And if you foresee, when it was UEDCL is governmental, as people would say, then secondly, have you given UEDCL KPIs? Have they been set targets? It was easier with Umeme because the biggest one was maintain the tariff. Secondly, bring the losses down, and which is not a discussion you can have with UEDCL.
The covenants. When we were licensing Umeme, we based on the various government and its representatives had entered into with the Umeme. Now, for UEDCL, the basis is a cabinet decision, where cabinet resolved that they are not renewing or extending the Umeme concession, and they nominated UEDCL to take on. And in that decision, if you are able to access that extract, cabinet plan distribution is. Now, the form of PP will depend on the details of the policymakers. I may not go into that detail. But our responsibility as the regulator and also as the line ministry is to make a private investor. We are there. And I also want to correct the impression that it is not true there. And I also want to correct the impression that it is not true that private investment is completely going to be out of the distribution segment during this interim period. We call it interim period. The 2 years the continent beats us. There is no single day where you don't have a knock of in solar, investments in hydro, investments now even in the distribution, IPT, the independent power transmission. But already the line we have is different from where I sit from. For the electricity supply industry, it is us to control the private capital into the industry. And you can see Umeme nodding because they also know what are coming in. At times, while we have a very rich website, they trust in meeting people. So wherever they start, they can start at the distributor, they hint the ministry, they go to State House. But the reality is that the investment climate is higher. It has not. We are seeing a lot of potential, a lot of improved climate for the private investors, especially with the amendment of the Electricity Act, where now we opened up the entire sector to both public and private investors. And I was quoted sharing with the parliamentarians that if your transformer blew here, would I tell you that you will wait and my minister goes to cabinet, then she comes resources from World Bank, and then you wait for four years before I replace that transformer? Will you agree with me? Of course, by then the business is gone. That is why we need the private investors in this sector. So that where publicly government is in a position to fund at a fair cost of financing, either through development partners, through the treasury, it can be given the priority. But where government is very cognizant that if with the private investors is prioritized and is preserved. Thank you.
And then finally, from you, Engineer Zilia Tibarwa Wako, did you come up and give a statement after Umeme left? Because there was a lot of rubbishing of Umeme after they had gone. Have you found time to say, no, these people served, they were good? Or have you found time to confirm the rubbishing, that this is good riddance, it is good they have gone?
Thank you very much. And it's a very, very excellent question. And I want to say that the regulator did not only come up at once to give a statement, but this is information that we have shared, and many times we've been told to be in bed with Umeme, because we know the metrics. We know where we were, and we know where we are. And we know why now we are attractive to the entire globe. And we know the journey that we have taken. But I'm aware, and I did participate in an interview, that a publication is being made, because once we publish a book, it is the motto. A publication is being made, which will capture all our good comments and areas of improvement. There are some learning experiences, but there are many good things that have happened in this country.
Plus the areas of development.
Correct. Yeah. Areas of development. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our panel deserves a hand clap because they have really spoken and given us vital information. I'd like to open up this discussion to members on the floor, and I see we have media people here as well, so they could save their questions a little bit later or present them now. But I'd like to begin with the Chief Engineer and Technical Services Officer of UEDCL, lighting up your world. I guess he's the owner of light, not Yaka.
Not God.
So, Engineer Protaz Tivira, in Chigo we have darkness, as you've heard. So maybe you want to start from there.
Thank you very much.
And a more direct question is, what are your current experiences? Because as the engineer Wako said, you are now in the current.
Thank you very much, Oscar. I will start by thanking Umeme for the peaceful handover that they did on 31st, that our famous hour, 11:59, 31st. March 2025 has gone down in history for us. It's all written all over as government tries to get back the asset for operation. A lot has been said, and I can listen to the panelists.
And a lot more will be said.
And a lot more will be said.
Yes.
I should have started by thanking my lecturer, Engineer Ziria, when he talked about Dr. Kasanga being your lecturer. I know he doesn't remember. You remember? Thank you. 1995, I found him, and for 4 years I was in his hands. So a lot has been said, and it will be said. Thank you very much, Oscar members. And I have had this last week. I had a number of fora that I attended, and the tone is the same. On Friday, there was another meeting organized for Uganda Manufacturers Association, which I attended, and I got a phrase from there, Madam Ziria, where they said government has opted for governance other than efficiency. And I asked to be educated, and I was taught that government emphasizes on governance issues. Maybe it's no mean mistake that you have said, you have also in your speech you said you have emphasized on governance. But the insinuation seemed to say government does not care about efficiency. And that I want to start from that point to correct the impression that government considers efficiency as number one objective, especially in the electricity sector. We are alive to the fact that government has identified electricity as the main driver of economic transformation in this country. If you look at National Development Plan 3 and 4, which are coming up, electricity has been considered as one of the drivers. And we are alive to that fact as a government utility. And all our efforts are going to be geared towards supporting government in achieving those objectives. We have operated for 15 days now, and you have just asked me a question. I want to go to that question specifically and said, what do we see? Members need to note that UDCL was not created 2-3 years ago. UDCL was a successor company that created in 2001. It has been here operating. We operated the distribution system from 2001 to 2005. All the statistics that have been talked about, we were the ones operating then. I have always, the other day I was in a committee of parliament. Unfortunately, when I talked about the MPs asked me, what is UEB? And then I realized I had become the oldest person in the room. And yet I have always considered myself a very young man. But the company was created as a successor company and has lived. And government had a sole intention of maintaining status of readiness, because this sector, government never wanted to give it away completely, because government still has to be interested. And from that time, a deliberate effort was made that we still maintain electricity distribution in this country, just as UMEME has done. Yes, UMEME has operated the larger part of the network in the country, but we have operated the most difficult parts of this country. If you go to all rural areas up country, you will find UDCL. And I want to correct the impression created by Blessing when he expressed a fear that moving from a digital system to manual, UDCL does not run manual systems. We have been distributing up to 230,000 customers, which is approximately the same number that Uganda had built from 1957 up to 2005 when we took over. That number is now with us, and all of them 100% are running on a prepaid metering system with applications that allow customer recruitment online. So UDCL, because the insinuation you hear that UDCL does not exist, unfortunately they have not communicated well, but the Ugandans upcountry, in the upcountry areas, we have served them and given them a service at the same standard as UMEME has served in the urban areas that have done. So the lessons learned from there much as it was a smaller concession, are good enough. But also to note that, as we have said, we have taken over all the UMEM employees. All the digital systems that are superior, that are UMEM, have been taken over. You take a system with a person operating it, adding on to what we have. So the country should be at peace. We are going to do our best, and this country should see the best service. Now, where we are in the last 2 weeks, I want to account for the first 15 days. The first 15 days have definitely been not easy, and you would have been naive also if you thought they were going to be easy. We were prepared, we were ready for it. I have always joked, I also told people in one of the fora that I attended, that you know when a tenant is going to leave a house at the end of this month, when the bulbs in the corridors outside blow, they don't replace them. When the tap, one of the taps in the house is not working, as long as the washrooms are working, you can remain around as long as you say, I can still live. So, and that is not really with respect that we may not do their work, but it is expected if you are a tenant.